Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about a few things that I tried to keep in mind when I first started DJing, and that was really helpful for me, and things that I learned through other DJs that just made it a lot easier for me to get started, and a few tips that you should keep in mind when you first start. And some of these might be obvious, some of them might not be obvious, but I think when you're first starting out, like, any information is helpful. So I'm just gonna go over like some very basic things. It might seem like very basic and elementary, but honestly, for being like a beginner, these are things that I feel like you should keep in mind. I'm gonna touch up my makeup while I do this, and I'm also gonna put in clips of me like actually showing you what's going on over this video, so you have like a visual representation, because I'm a visual learner. If I don't see a visual, I literally won't know what's going on. I was inspired to do this video based on one of the past videos that I just recently uploaded that was like, it's called So You Want to Be a DJ, and it was basically beginner tips that I like touched on and like showed you kind of like how to like mix like 2 house songs, and that got more views than some recent videos that I've been doing, which made me really happy that you guys or somebody cared about what I had to say about DJing. So that has inspired this video. So I just want to say thank you first and foremost for the support that I was given on that video, because that was really surprising to me. I did not think that that was gonna do as well as it did, so thank you so much. The first thing that I want to talk about is the BPM. So how fast or slow the song is going. A lot of the house songs that I use is gonna be in a BPM range of 120 to, or like 124 to like 130, and that's just gonna be, that's the vibe that I normally go to. That's just like a good speed to dance to, because I like dancing music. You don't want to like lower the BPM. Let's say you have been DJing and you're already at like 127 and the vibes are right and like everyone's dancing and having a good time. Slowing the BPM down to like 117 or something is just gonna like bring the energy down, and like in some cases I'm sure it could work if you like had a good transition or there was a song that you really wanted to play or knew that your audience wanted to hear. But I would suggest to keep the BPM high when the energy is high, and not to like jolt people and be like, okay, well now I'm gonna play something like slower. Like if we're dancing and like the energy is good, like let's just keep the party going. Like why are we trying to tone it down, you know, if everyone's having a good time? I feel like if you are like starting and you want to plan out your set a little bit to make this make sense, maybe start at like a lower BPM, and then know that if you want to play songs with a higher BPM, just like work your way up to that throughout the duration of your set. The next tip that I want to talk about kind of goes hand in hand, and that is about doing crazy transitions. I think that when you're first starting, crazy transitions can be fun, but it can take away from the integrity of the music and the songs. And honestly, sometimes when I'm like listening to music and someone does like a batshit crazy transition, like might it be cool? Yes, but sometimes I genuinely am excited to hear that song, and like that's what it's all about, is the music. So I would chill on the crazy transitions until you like really get comfortable with like everything that's going on the board. Although I can appreciate a good transition, I'm just saying, like, keep it cute, keep it classy, and focus on the music. The next thing that I want to talk about is the audience. This is a huge one, but your audience is literally the whole point of why you're DJing. If you want to DJ in your room and play all your favorite songs, then you go right ahead, but the audience is the most important part of this whole operation. If the audience isn't having a good time, 100% you will not be having a good time. Like, just the worst feeling would be literally standing in front of the audience that is literally looking at you like. So just picking up on the audience vibes and having good songs that you already know are gonna sound good together. I think having one song that you really love and then knowing a good like 3 songs that you know always sound good when you mix into it is a really good rule of thumb. But really prioritizing the audience. I remember I was working at my last job, which was at like a late night bar spot, and we had a DJ there that just DJs at like other clubs in Atlanta, but he had never DJ'd there before. And he just brought the best vibes. Like, I will never forget that night. My friends were there that night. Everyone was having a good time. All of the employees were having a good time. He just totally brought out the vibe. But there was a song that was playing that I don't remember what it was, but everyone was doing the cha-cha slide, like the motions, but it wasn't the cha-cha slide that was playing, but everybody was doing the dance, like in unison. I don't know, like everyone just got on the same vibe, and it was such a good time. And then for the next song, he played the cha-cha slide, which was just very obvious that he was very attentive to what the audience was feeling and doing. And obviously when he played it, everyone was like, oh my god, like it was crazy. So, you know, I just feel like that is like a good rule of thumb to like make sure that you're paying attention to what's actually going on the dance floor, because that's the most important part. So the jog wheel is gonna be these pieces right here. And if you were to put your hand on top of the jog wheel, the audio is going to stop, and this is going to be very abrupt. You can rewind it, you can fast forward it. It's going to have that, you know, classic DJ sound, like whatever sound, you know what I'm talking about. And that's going to completely stop the music, like when you put your finger on it. But on the side of the jog wheel is going to be how you are going to adjust the speed of the song. And that is very, very, very important for when you're trying to make two songs line up together so that there can be a seamless transition. And be very careful when you're like adjusting the speed of the song with the jog wheel to not put your hand on top of the jog wheel, because that's literally gonna stop the whole vibe for everyone, and everyone's gonna be looking at you like, what have you done? Just don't stop the music on accident. That's just like an extreme party foul, but hey, we've all done it from time to time. This next tip is controversial. Is it really controversial? I don't know. But I've heard different opinions on this, but this is my personal opinion. I never use the crossfader. I never ever use it. It's in the middle. It is gonna move like the audio that's playing from one deck to the next deck. So if it's in the middle, you can hear them both. If it's on the left, you can hear the left one. If it's on the right, you can hear the right one. And I just don't find any use for using that ever. I would rather use the volume controls just to turn up the volume of the song that I'm bringing in, and take out the volume of the song that I'm bringing out, or have both of the volumes up if I'm letting the songs ride out together. And there's just no reason to fully move it to the left or the right to transition to a song that way. I don't think that it's consistent, and I think that it is just a lot easier if you just don't touch it. I would get comfortable with using the volumes of both of your channels and feeling what it sounds like when the channel 1 is like all the way up and then the channel 2 is like halfway up, and just like play around with the volume like that. This next one kind of ties in with what I was just talking about letting songs ride out together. Let your songs write out together. Let your songs mix. What is DJing? Mixing. That is literally the name. Let your songs mix together and know what songs sound good together. I think it's so fun when you hear two songs that you've obviously never heard together playing at the same time. You're like, why do these sound so good together? Like, it just works and it's just good. And that's the whole point of DJing in the first place, literally mixing. It's in the name. So let your songs ride out together. Don't be afraid to like just let them ride out. Don't be afraid to put your songs on a loop and just like create the vibe. Okay, I think that's the best way I can describe it. Don't be so eager to play a song and then immediately transition and have like the other song just like playing by itself. There's just so many ways that you can mix music, and so many unexpected things that could happen that can sound really lovely. So don't be afraid to let your songs ride out together. 2 more tips. So second to last one is don't have 2 lows going at the same time. This should be fairly obvious, but the lows is just like the bass, like that punch. And if you have 2 of those going at the same time, it's just gonna sound awfully chaotic. So very important to make sure that when you're mixing in a new song that the low is turned down. I touched on this in my last video as well. And that when you're bringing in, or excuse me, when you switch over to the next song and you bring that low in, that you're taking out the low of the song that you were just playing. And then the last tip that I have simply is that confidence is key. I'll never forget this, one of the first times that I DJ'd, I wasn't entirely confident, but I was still convinced that I was gonna do a good job and I was gonna have a good time. And I remember that the way the decks was set up, the crowd was like right there and could literally like just look over and like see what I was doing. And I wasn't entirely confident at the time, but I was doing my best. And I remember this guy was there like dancing with his girlfriend, and I was just DJing, and I look up and I see them in the crowd, and he's like explaining to her what I'm doing, because I was like putting like some filter on it and I was like bringing in the new song, and it was very like basic what I was doing, but to her, I'm sure she had like never DJed before. And so he was like explaining what I was doing, and I was thinking like, wow, I'm thinking over here like, oh, I'm not confident, I'm not doing a good job. And like to him, that was like a teaching moment to like show his girlfriend like what I was doing, because to them, like if they don't, well, it looked like he probably DJ'd, but to her, she probably didn't DJ. He was like explaining, and to her, like even that is like, you know, cool enough, and like I'm literally doing something that she doesn't know what I'm doing. And if I was up there like looking confused and lost and didn't know what I was doing, like I don't think he would have had the trust in me to teach her what was going on with DJing if I looked like lost and confused. So confidence is key. Literally, I have gotten all of my gigs off of a hope and a dream and a confidence level, and sometimes I kind of gassed it up and I was like, yeah, I can do that. Go home and stay up all night trying to figure it out. The next day I come and I was doing it. But yeah, I hope that these tips helped you guys out in some form or fashion. I definitely want to keep doing more YouTube videos. I had a mix that was uploaded and I realized that it got copyrighted, and I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of, because I don't really post mixes. Like I posted one the other day and it didn't get copyrighted, but then another one that I posted did. I don't know if it was the music choice or what happened, but I need to figure that out because I want to post more mixes, and so many people post mixes. So if anyone has any tips on like how to avoid copyright issues, like please let me know. But I hope these tips were helpful, and happy mixing. Bye.